Hey guys, so today we are talking about being interested in one another. But before we jump into that, I just want to talk to you about what the opposite might look like. And to do that, I want to introduce you to two people. So the first person is Bob. Now, Bob has thousands of Instagram followers. He's constantly posting selfies of himself. Everyone at school thinks Bob is like the bee's knees. They think he's awesome. He spends hours in the morning, perfecting the do. If Bob is in a conversation, in a friendship group, the whole conversation is about Bob, right? Because Bob is the center of it all. Bob has lots of friends, but he doesn't actually know a lot about his friends because he's all about himself. Bob does whatever he wants to do, whatever's going to make Bob happy, doesn't really care about other people. So Bob is a bit in love with himself and he's selfish, right? He's self-interested. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Then there's Betty over here. Now, Betty is actually really quiet. And the reason she's quiet in social settings is because she's so insecure. She's so scared about what people think of her or what people are saying. She's scared about saying the wrong thing, so she doesn't say anything at all. Betty really hates who she is. She doesn't like how she looks. She's starting to become obsessed with her body and what people are thinking of her. And doing this is just causing her to be more and more isolated. Now, Betty's thoughts are also all about herself, but she hates herself. So Bob's thoughts are about himself and he loves himself, but Betty's thoughts are about herself and she hates herself. So being self-interested, thinking about yourself, can look like a scale of Bob to Betty. Now, I'm using very extreme examples, but you might be able to recognize yourself or people you know along the scale of Bob to Betty, right? But all of it is about being self-interested. So our culture says that just the Bobs are the ones who are self-interested and selfish, but actually being a Betty can be a way of being obsessed with yourself as well and thinking about yourself. You see, the Bible says that we're all selfish. All of us are Bobs and Bettys, or we fit somewhere along that scale. We're born selfish because of sin. Now, if you look at a baby or a toddler, if you've got like a little sibling, I think you know this, okay? So when toddlers, if they're playing with their toy trucks, they just want what's theirs. It's mine. I want what I want. Like, they chuck tantrums if they can't get their own way. So we're born kind of only caring about ourselves and our needs. So what's wrong with being self-interested? Well, there's three things that I want to say that are wrong with being self-interested. The first one is that it makes you miserable. See, Betty is constantly thinking about herself and how bad she is, and just thinking about who she is and how she can look better or be liked by other people, and it makes her miserable. The second point is that it makes other people miserable. Now, Bob seems like he's having a good time, but I imagine that being Bob's friend would be a pretty miserable experience. Doesn't really know anything about your life. You just have to be thankful that you get to hang out with Bob. Everything's about Bob. Makes other people miserable when you're self-interested. And the third thing is that it's totally opposite to who God is and how he wants us to live. It's totally opposite. God is the epitome of selflessness, and he wants us to love others as we love ourselves. So how do we stop being self-interested? How do we actually stop being selfish and all of those things? Well, the first thing is that you need to admit that you're selfish. You actually need to see that you're selfish, not just to other people, but that you've been selfish to God. That God is the creator who deserves your life, who deserves your worship, and you've chosen to live for yourself. So you have to look at that in the face and admit that that's you, not just like point the finger at other people you know, but actually admit it for yourself. The second thing is that you have to look at what God has done for you. God, the creator of the entire universe, gave his life on that cross. He sacrificed himself. This is the most selfless act anyone could do. He sacrificed his own life to have a relationship with you. Now, when you come to actually understand who God is and what he has done, his spirit comes into us and we're able to be transformed on the inside out. So it's really impossible to be totally selfless without knowing God, knowing what he's done for you, and being indwelt with his spirit that's going to transform you on the inside out. But let's get practical now. So that is practical, but let's get more practical. How do you actually be selfless? Well, if you read the passage, it says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but to the interests of others." So that's Philippians 2, 3, and 4. Now, really practically, this means genuinely thinking about the interests of others. Now, what does that mean? What are the people in your life interested in? Some practical things you can do is on your way to school, instead of thinking about like, oh, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to hang out with? All this stuff that I have due. Why don't you start praying for the people in your life, praying for the people that you're going to encounter. Say, Lord, help me love these people. Help me care about these people. Take interest. Ask them what's going on in their life. Ask your friends what's happening in their lives. And don't just kind of ask it so that then you can share your story. You know how we do that? We ask a question, but really we're just like waiting to share our thing. Ask it and don't say anything about yourself. And then keep asking them questions and be genuinely interested. You'll find that other people other than yourself, are really interesting, maybe more interesting than you. So ask questions about other people and be genuinely interested in them. Spend time thinking about how you can bless others and love others, and don't expect anything back. Don't do it so that they're not really like me, or if I do it, then whatever. Expect nothing back and just keep being interested in them. And what will happen is that total joy and freedom is found in this. When we're able to love people and be interested in others above ourselves, we don't have space to be insecure. We don't have space to be like Betty because we're too concerned caring and loving for others. So total freedom from your insecurities is found there. Joy is found there. We're created to love others sacrificially, and people will actually be drawn to you. Like a little tip for popularity, people will be drawn to you if it's genuine, if your love is genuine. And when people are drawn to you, you're able to point other people to Jesus and be like, hey, this love is the love that my God shared to me. Be praying for you this week. I challenge you to really think about the interests of others and be genuinely interested in the people in your life at school.